Have you ever seen firefighters refuse to put out someone's house fire? My neighbor Dominic was the kind of person who made everyone on the street uncomfortable. He kept to himself, had his garage door open at all hours with strange chemical smells coming out, and you could hear hammering and power tools running until 3 a.m. most nights. When people tried to talk to him about the noise, he'd mumble something about projects and close the garage door without explanation. Everyone in the neighborhood had theories about what he was doing in there, but nobody really knew anything, except that whatever it was, he clearly didn't want anyone knowing about it. The complaints to the HOA started around 4 months after he moved in. People reported the smells, the noise, the fact that he had delivery trucks dropping off suspicious packages every week. He's obviously cooking meth, Janet from across the street posted in our neighborhood Facebook group. No, he's building pipe bombs. I heard metallic clanging, Mr. Delgado replied. The speculation got worse when someone noticed Dominic had installed heavy-duty ventilation fans and reinforced his garage door. That's when someone finally called the fire marshal about potential fire hazards and illegal modifications to a residential property. I was in my front yard when 3 fire trucks rolled up with their lights flashing one Saturday afternoon. 8 firefighters got out and spread around Dominic's property like they were preparing for something dangerous. The fire chief knocked hard on his door while 2 firefighters positioned themselves near the garage with extinguishers ready. Dominic opened the door looking terrified, and the chief said something I couldn't hear from across the street. Dominic shook his head frantically and tried to close the door, but the chief put his boot in the doorway. We have reports of fire hazards and illegal chemical storage. We need to inspect your garage immediately. Dominic's voice cracked as he said, "Please don't. You'll ruin everything. I've been so careful." The chief signaled his team and they moved toward the garage. Dominic ran past them, physically blocking the garage door with his body. "You can't go in there. Please. I'm begging you." 2 firefighters grabbed him and pulled him back while another used bolt cutters on the garage lock. Every neighbor was outside watching now, phones recording, convinced we were about to see a meth lab or bomb factory. The garage door rolled up and the firefighters stood there in complete silence for what felt like forever. Then the fire chief turned to his team and said quietly, "Everyone back to the trucks. Nobody touches anything." They started walking back to their vehicles while Dominic collapsed to his knees on the driveway, sobbing. One firefighter stayed behind, taking off his helmet, and I heard him say, "I'm so sorry. We had no idea." The chief got on his radio, and within minutes, a completely different vehicle pulled up. Not a fire truck, an ambulance, but it wasn't rushing, no sirens, just pulling up slowly and parking. 2 paramedics got out with a small stretcher, the kind meant for children, and went into the garage where they spent 20 minutes before coming back out carrying something covered with a white sheet. Dominic stood there, watching, tears streaming down his face as they loaded the stretcher into the ambulance with heartbreaking gentleness. "What's happening?" Janet asked one of the firefighters, and he just shook his head, unable to speak. I walked over to Dominic after everyone left. He was sitting on his driveway, staring at his open garage. I could see inside now, medical equipment, hospital monitors, a small bed with railings, oxygen tanks, IV stands, hand-painted murals of forests and oceans covering every wall. "My daughter Sophie," he finally said. "She's 8, terminal cancer. 3 months to live, they said that 6 months ago. She wanted to come home from the hospital, wanted her own room that didn't smell like medicine and death, but insurance wouldn't cover home hospice for someone her age. Said she needed to stay in pediatric oncology. I couldn't let her die in that fluorescent room with nurses she didn't know, so I built this." He gestured at the garage. "Every machine she needed, every medication. I taught myself how to monitor her vitals, how to manage her pain, how to keep her comfortable. The chemical smells people complained about were sterilization protocols. The noise was me building a hydraulic lift so I could move her bed to the window when she wanted to see outside. The ventilation was medical-grade air filtration because her immune system couldn't handle normal air quality." The fire chief came back the next day without his uniform. He knocked on Dominic's door, and when Dominic answered, the chief just said, "I have a daughter too. I brought 4 other firefighters with me. We all do construction on the side. We're going to help you build her a proper medical room, not in the garage. A real addition to your house with windows and everything she needs. Code compliant so nobody can shut you down." Dominic started crying again, and the chief hugged him. Within a week, half the neighborhood was involved. The same people who'd been convinced he was a criminal were now building an entire medical wing onto his house. Janet organized meal trains. Mr. Delgado, who'd suspected bombs, turned out to be an electrician and wired everything for free. The fire marshal who'd ordered the inspection came back and expedited every permit needed.